And welcome back to the show, Elana Freeland. It's been about 4 months, but it feels like 4 years. How are you feeling tonight?
Oh, great. Yeah, and in 4 months, we've probably gone through at least 4 years of development.
You know, it's funny you say that because I have made that distinction many times, especially when it comes to 2020 as a whole. I said that it feels like they are trying to push in 8 years of plans for the entire world into 1 year. Like they had to accelerate, like they felt like there was some kind of a deadline they had to reach. And man, oh man, it's true. Like every couple of months feels like a year went by.
Yeah, yet I'm haunted by what Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist who really broke the news back in the 90s of what was falling down from the jets, the aerosols being unloaded by the jets. And he said that he did some testing and that time is actually increasing. And I've always been haunted by that. Not that it's increasing a lot, like per hour or anything like that, but that the atmosphere's metamorphosis under the weight of this geoengineering that's been going on now for over 20 years has really taken a toll on us. And more than that, the secrecy behind it, the fact that it's never mentioned, and that a lot of people who do know about it think of it in terms of weather engineering, but it's so much more. And that's of course what I'm known for, is broadcasting the news that the geoengineering program has really completely altered the atmosphere and is now altering us.
Well, Alana, let me ask you first before we go on anywhere else. But I just wanted to say I know that we did a test call beforehand and the video worked fine, but it's not up right now. Just make sure that you click that video button so it casts over here. But
oh yeah, I see it. I thought it was on before, so I assumed it'd be on now.
Oh wait, now I see it coming on. It there we go. Perfect.
There we are.
Perfect.
And I took my refrigerator out. You notice? I mean, I didn't take the whole refrigerator.
Oh, you're sitting in front of the refrigerator. But I gave you a compliment about the refrigerator. I said it was a fine-looking refrigerator. Okay, well, either way, I wanted to start off then with an addendum to our first conversation back in the fall, because it was so heavy on COVID-19 and transhumanism, and it's clear that the social controls at this point and the policing through the guise of COVID-19, they're not going away. I mean, some poor fools are convinced now that they need to start wearing double and triple masks. But since then, we have also been introduced to this mRNA shot, which some have described as being more of an operating system than a vaccine. And since that just reeks of cybernetic human augmentation, I just would love to know what your overall thoughts on this timeline progression is up to this point from what we have seen in the last 4 months alone.
Well, we have just a wonderful array of doctors now who've done their homework outside the American Medical Association and have realized that, yes, this mRNA delivery system, and it is a delivery system, is actually less a vaccine than it is a transformation that is going to be implemented into our bodies. I think that it's important to understand that a genetic modification can be done in a variety of ways. I actually have been waiting to see if there's an aerosol backup to it. And that article just came out, I think, yesterday, that now, I think it was from the Children's Defense people with Robert F. Kennedy, and they're very dependable. They are good fact finders, that now they're going to supplement the vaccine system with an aerosol that they feel will back it up. Well, you can deliver vaccines via aerosol just as well as you can in the vaccine. So I'm thinking that, I'm writing this book, right? I'm finishing it. I have one chapter to go. And that, the name of the book is Geoengineered Transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetics, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. And this whole lockdown thing couldn't have been more timely for me, because I'm late on my schedule for publication, but that's because there's so much material coming out now that I would not have had access to before. So yes, that's where we're at. And when I say the weaponization of the environment, understand that I'm talking about the last 10 years of my life, from the first book that came out in 2014, Chemtrails, HARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, to the next book in 2018, which was Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. And what I learned in that is that, and I know this is going to be crazy to understand, can really be done over a series of years. But hey, we're talking about the globalists here. These are people who have not given up the dream of an all-controlling UN since 1919, at the end of World War I, when the League of Nations failed. And this is now exactly 100 years later that they make their big move through a medical lockdown, a medical tyranny, and we begin to see that they are also transforming us. And these young doctors who are coming forward and talking about the fact that the mRNA delivery system of the vaccine is not at all what it appears, that it is actually, we're talking about a transformation here, a genetic transformation, and it is amazing to me that as many people as are, and not all, I know, are waking up to the fact that, yeah, you can sit around and moan and groan over how corporations run everything, and you can moan and groan over big pharma, which seeks to profit from people's illness and even produce drugs that have not been tested anywhere else and will be tested on the general population, with a sort of oh well attitude toward seniors dying and many and all the babies that are now being loaded up with all these vaccinations. But the setting is different. But if you look at it from a more of an aerial perspective, you can see, and it will sound extreme, because this is extreme. I don't know anyone who would say this is not extreme. And look how fast it's happened. And look at the obedience factor. This really smacks of the Nazi operations back in the 30s, 40s, and yet this seems so much worse, in the sense that the Nazis were doing things secretly, and this is right in your face. And there is no apology. I mean, all they're doing is racking up the numbers of all the seniors dying from the COVID-19 vaccination process. So we're obviously dealing with something that is from the global elites, who are extreme, very extreme people. They live extremely, they have extreme ideas, and they have extreme wealth and power. So I don't even want to argue that. My time is valuable. So I see that geoengineering is being used to lay has been being used to lay the first layer. It's like think of it as a loam operation. You've got one layer and then another layer and another layer, so that the environment is totally prepared for your real move, which is now. And so we're breathing in 16% less oxygen than we used to, at least. I haven't checked the figure lately. Since geoengineering got going in the 90s and early 2000s, less oxygen. We have seen on video the amazing smart city scene, and it was a smart city scene, and I'll tell you why, of Wuhan when people began to drop dead. Now, some people say, yeah, well, those were all hired actors. Not so, not so. What happened was that, there was a deoxygenation that went on in people once the 5G, and Wuhan was 5G'd in spades because of its labs there, and it needed to have, state-of-the-art stuff. And we saw those people just drop like flies because they had their blood cells immediately were not able to process oxygen. The hemoglobin was not able to recognize the oxygen in the system or around the person because the 5G millimeter wave technology is so powerful, especially the 60 gigahertz frequency range. So we saw how the smart city is being tailored in that one scene. I immediately recognized it because I'm writing this book, and I had finished my smart city chapter in which I describe in detail how sidewalks are filled with sensors and little energy pockets that are drawing energy from the environment, from our footsteps, etc., and converting it into something that can be used electromagnetically for the entire smart city. It's as though the smart city is intended to breathe on its own. It lets out its oxygen, it takes in carbon dioxide, it takes in another type of energy, an electromagnetic energy, to keep its surveillance and all of its processes by which it's following and really grabbing big data from biometrics that are measuring citizens' breathing rate, their heart rate, their steps, where they go, everything. And that's what the smart city really means.
Well, that's something I really wanted to get around to, and because, of course, when I think of augmented people, I think of a smart city as an augmented city, and where the one goes into the other, one feeds off of the other, one plugs in, and they're almost like designed for each other. And of course, but before I do that, it's just real briefly, when you said the obedience factor there, what do you think is the desired change? What's the desired change that the geoengineering intends to have in humanity itself? Is it about creating a largely remote-controlled, obedient species, or is it just about depopulation across the board?
Yeah, I'm not a person that is a proponent of depopulation because they can depopulate us anytime they want. That's not a problem. They can kill millions of us all poof like that. No, I think that we're too valuable at this point anyway as guinea pigs. And yes, you're right. It's control, and it's from satellite. It's from triangulated space fence infrastructure like radar installations, cell towers, Gwen towers, cell phones, TVs, IoT, the Internet of Things. Everything has been put into this infrastructure. That's what my second book goes into detail on, how it's been structured and what its purposes, all the purposes are. So now the thing that was added in the geoengineering that is sort of a hidden factor, well, not just sort of, a totally hidden factor other than my yakking about it all the time, is nanotechnology. And the nanotechnology is what will connect us to the instruments of our control, the electromagnetic instruments. And a lot of people don't know what nanotechnology means. I am telling you that it is the most extreme, more than electromagnetics, more than 5G. It is the most extreme technology that is happening right now. But because it's so tiny and it's basically unlimited by any law, it went through Congress, sort of zip zip in 2002. Its founder has not been interviewed, or, his name is Eric Drexler. And I wanted to read you a comment from him to just give you a taste of what we're talking. Because when I say that nanotechnology is what connects us, I'm talking about the fact that they're dropping nanos, trillions of nanos, just sensors up in the stratosphere. They drop them. The sensors, a lot of them remain in orbit, and a lot of them drop. And they are all electromechanical. They're called MEMS. MEMS, GEMS, and NEMS. And they are collectors of data, big data. Remember, if we're going to be an AI-run civilization, and that is what they want, we have to keep feeding those supercomputers and even the quantum computers with a lot of data, and I mean a lot of data, for them to self-learn and be ready for any type of decision-making they have to make. So the nanos are being dropped by the trillions. Some are falling down. We're breathing them. They're in our bodies. We don't expel them. They have microcomputers in them, tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean, a nano, just for the people who don't know, is 1/1000th of a meter. It's really just a size denotation, but it's not really, because when you really examine what a nano is, and they are built, they are like bricks, or like, pieces of wood, that's how you would think of it from the old system, where you're building with natural items. No, nanos are built atom by atom by atom.
By what? By what though? Like what kind of a machine makes a computer that small?
Oh, they've got amazing machines. You should do a little tour into what's called nanomaterials science. It's you can get a PhD in it. It's very highly thought of. Nano construction is cheap and kind of fascinating, because you're using basically atoms. But the main thing about it, if I were to say one of the things that concerns me, is because of its tininess, it doesn't behave like nature. And even though they're using materials like metals and things from the periodic table to make them, atoms from those things, because they're going to the very core of their existence in the atomic level, much like the Manhattan Project, wink, wink, they are able to really bring in I have to call it a consciousness, Frank, of a different kind. They are not natural, and they are right up against the quantum level, and that's why they're not dependable in a certain way. And it's caused a lot of problems, but it's also caused a real interest in why, because they're just atoms. But what are atoms, and what do they stand for, and what are they connected to? So there's a consciousness to them, and where you can really see them operating, I don't know if I said this last show, so stop me if I went too far, where you can really see them operating so that you're looking at them, because they're very tiny. They operate in swarms, which helps, because we can kind of see a swarm if a swarm is being computer operated remotely. And where you see it is in the California fires. You see these phalanxes of embers moving across, I saw some great drone footage at one point. And as I was watching it, I was like, wow, the wind's blowing. And so, those are embers. They're moving. No, they were moving like a phalanx, like something that had a directionality. And they were choosing this house to burn, but not that house, sort of thing. They had a path. And I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I'm looking at nanotechnology being remotely run for destruction in the California fires, especially the one in Paradise.
Well, with the trillions, these trillions of particles that are dumped, that you're saying that are dumped by the trillions, and of course, I know over the years, I first learned about nanoparticles and smart dust and all that stuff, not only from you. I've followed your work, and I actually I've heard you for the first time on Clyde Lewis's show, and I've heard him talk about it and things, and it's gone on from there as well. A lot more people are conscious and discussing this kind of technology out there. Has anybody been successful in collecting this technology and grouping it and putting a pile of it together and putting it under a microscope and saying, look, here's all the nanoparticles, here's these microscopic computers, have they been collected and exposed in some kind of a physical way?
Well, exposed by the people attempting to expose them, not to my knowledge. I mean, I know 2 nanomaterials PhDs. Both of them have left their profession because, well, they had no freedom. They had to do what they were told, and they weren't sure that they wouldn't be getting sick, because the sickness quotient of those who are working with nanomaterials is apparently pretty high. So think about it, the lungs. We're breathing it. And your question as to have we been able to collect, how do you collect something so tiny? I mean, in a way, you can just wipe your finger across the dust in your house and you're going to have some. But you're not going to be able to see it unless it swarms, because you don't have an electron microscope that costs $50,000 used. So this is a high-tech thing. You're right to bring in the word smart dust. This is smart dust. This is what not Elon Musk, but Julian Assange, in that great little video that I loved, called evil smart dust. And he was being not facetious, because it kind of has a will of its own, and with the microprocessor in it, whoever's remotely running it, along with the swarm it's part of, we don't know who that is, and we don't know what that agenda is. So that technology needs to be brought in, and we're back to the question you originally asked, which is, did they use the geoengineering layer by layer? Were they preparing for what we're going through now? Absolutely. There's no question that this is all of a piece. It is not that, oh my gosh, now it's this, and oh my gosh, that's how we do life as we're scrambling through, trying to get everything done. No, that is not how this is being done. This is layer upon layer upon layer. And the nanotechnology really gave them the green light for this vaccination, molecular level processing of the human race, and that's what they want.
Well, Elana, when I think about this, even from a very novice standpoint, from when we started talking about it too, with the how unbelievable the world is right now all around, and what we've been learning and what we've been considering, nanotechnology is not something that I would ever think is the most outlandish thing that I would ever consider to be not only just true, but very prevalent in a way that we never even detected before. Because I'll tell you, even just with the whole idea of atmospheric aerosol injections and chemtrails, we were talking about this a long time ago, where we are radio frequency emitters, not only receivers, but the human mind. I mean, we're able to broadcast and receive all types of messages, and we are this very radio sensitive species as it is, that is existing in an environment that is awash with radio frequencies coming from all over the place. So when we just started thinking about if there are things being sprayed in the air that are just chemical in nature or anything else like that, and they, what if there are heavy metals in it and this and that? What are they doing? Is it possible that they're making us more sensitive receivers for whatever kind of frequencies that they want to actually target onto us? Are they trying to dull down our receptions to make sure that we're a little bit more out of touch with our inner power or something like that? I mean, we're already so sensitive as it is. So to add a little bit more of a science fiction edge to it, it's totally believable to me. I can see where that goes. But that also comes down to the whole idea of augmented human beings made pretty much for augmented smart cities. And we had this thing that came out a couple of weeks ago. It was about how the state of Nevada was going to start creating what they called innovation zones to boost the state, corporate run type of state income, and they're going to give hundreds of square miles to any kind of a company that has at least $250 million worth of company income or something, to pretty much create their own cities. All of them proposed that they would be smart cities, that the companies, whether it be Bitcoin or blockchain LLC, or if Amazon came in or a Facebook or something like that, they would be able to create their own governments, and of course they implement their own smart cities there. So this piqued a lot of interest because the corporations today, of course, are so much more massive than the mining towns that were popping up all around the country in the 19th century. And of course, these corporate cities would be smart cities run by corporations that would create governments that are already, as we can see by the censorship that's going on around the world, very, very warm to the idea of censorship. They're very warm to the idea of all types of dystopian ways of living. So you think about a person who might be cybernetically plugged into an environment that is controlled by people who don't want you to read certain types of news. They don't want you to say certain types of things. I mean, the recipe for disaster is just written all over it. Am I on the right track here?
Yes, except you're using the future tense. We're already there. We're all plugged in. Even, I don't like to think of myself as plugged in. Who does? But yeah, we're all plugged in, especially with the nanotech in us. And I think that I return to that scene in Wuhan, where you really saw what you can do with a 5G environment. This is just another thing. You can do a lot. You can do, and each smart city will be loaded with 5G. And I have to say that I'm now convinced that includes 6G. There is no difference really, other than function, between 5 and 6G, and also 4G plus. Everybody's saying, well, when will the 5G be implemented? I think it's already here as an additive to the 5G plus. Certainly, I watched a guy in France on a video take apart a 4G plus phone, and there's a phased array antenna in it. And the phased array is said to be just 5G. No, that was a 4G plus. So I think we've had it for probably going on 3 years, but the question is, has it been activated? And when they activate it, now we're looking at bells and whistles and trouble. In my opinion, is that all of the nanos inside are already engineered and frequency attuned to 5G, 6G. And I've heard that China is actually going 7G now. Each one of these has a different function, and the 6G function, I would say, is primarily to yeah, control citizenry through the nanotech in us. And when they flip that switch, uh, and it will be mainly in smart cities, but I find it hard to believe that they're going to pass up the ego possibility of doing it as a sort of demo on a large mass media scale over some disaster, like the disaster in Wuhan. So let's accept that we are. Let's accept that we're all plugged in. And, you know, I don't own a cell phone. I don't own a television either. I only own this computer. This is the highest tech thing I have. Because I don't want my technology owning me. And I need to limit it because all of it can be used for actual targeting of citizens. And that's kind of how I read the smart city, not targeting the way we have it now. That'll be there too, of course, where citizens are used, they go on a list that they never get off of. It's a life log. It used to be called life log. They said they ended the program. I don't think they ended it. I think it went black. Life log is where you are signed up lock, stock, and barrel for experimentation the rest of your life. And now you will be subjected to, between actual operators that are remote and you can't see them, to AI systems that are doing chatterbox types things with your head. You will be owned. And I would say in America alone, we have at least, being very conservative, 1.5 million people who are being targeted right now. And that'll go on in the smart cities. It'll be pretty much accepted. And then there'll be another level of it, of what is I like to call, there are several terms being bandied about by the medical industry right now who are going to be doing remote medicine. And I would call it precision medicine. Precision medicine is where maybe they give you an implanted something or other that they're going to monitor your heart, they're going to monitor your organs, they're going to monitor your head, whatever it is. They'll convince you that you really need this. And then you'll have some medications that also have some sort of radio equipment in them on a nanoscale. And then they'll be able to monitor and track you. And as we saw in Wuhan, they can then activate things that are already laid in you. And that's the final thing I would say about the mRNA. After doing quite a bit of research, I just finished that chapter, I would say that they are going to implant all kinds of things in us in various levels, at various places, not the same thing everywhere. We have this idea there's one vaccine. There's not one vaccine. There's tons of vaccines. They're doing a whole lab workup on us and the people who are foolish enough to take this vaccine, and those things will lie dormant. And as Dr. Carrie Madej says, I think it's her. There are so many great people, Andrew Kaufman maybe, that it'll lie dormant until it's called, it's like Lazarus come forth. There'll be a call, a radio frequency call to bring it to life. And then, suddenly the person has this or that and some terrible disease, or there's a whole mass of people who have it. And, now the precision medicine people need to come in and take care of that. So that'll be going on in spades in the smart city, because the smart city, of course, is just bathed. I mean, bathed, not just the satellites above, the 5G satellites above. I mean, the walls, the sidewalks, everything in the smart city is loaded for ammo. Well, I mean, to me, the smart city is the armed city, is the way I put that chapter.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. From what I've read, it's when you talk about the Internet of Things, And what we were talking about smart meters just a few years ago, how that was something that was showing up everywhere. But everything I read about smart cities and smart homes and this and that is that we were talking about your refrigerator before. The refrigerator would have an IP address. It would know when you need to. It would tell you when you need to go. And actually, it would probably order some new bottles of milk for you. Things like that that you would think. I don't even know why people would call it a convenience. What the hell's the point of not having to be responsible for anything in your life? Like even to the point where you can't even write down on a Post-it, I have to get some more eggs. This thing has...
I mean, we're talking serious mind control here. That people actually think it's convenient is very much a sign of, I don't want to call them stupid. Some people call them stupid. I don't call them stupid. I call them programmed. And where did the programming come from? Well, that's easy. First of all, television. The sophistication, I keep ranting about this on my Facebook site, the closed one for people who are supposedly more conscious. The televisions now with HD and all the rest are so sophisticated in subliminal transfer. I don't even know what to say about them. They don't not only have microphones and little cameras where they can watch your whole family every night if you're, sitting there stuffing your face with potato chips or whatever, but they're grabbing data everywhere, Frank. Everywhere they can grab it, they're grabbing it. And so you're subliminally programmed. That's how they're getting all these people who want to have the vaccine, despite the fact that everybody's dropping dead from them. The programming of the iPhone is tremendous. That's why I don't own one. You're being pulsed with frequencies. It can be for violence. It can be for passivity. It can be for weird sex, for pedophilia. I mean, you name it. You are a sitting duck with those cell phones. Unless you understand what you're looking at and get the old models where you can take the battery out and wrap it in, I don't know what, aluminum foil and put it out in the car while you're sleeping. I mean, these are weapon systems. We got all of them from the military, folks. What do you think they are? They're not about convenience and your comfort and just profit. No, these people with a lot of money, they're not interested in just profit. They got a lot of money. They already got their profit thing set up. They need to keep you convinced that you're sick and you're not worth anything and you need to keep being a good slave. That's what they're interested in.
Oh, yeah.
But their intent with the technology is to control it all. That's what I meant by full spectrum dominance. The doctrine of full spectrum dominance is a military doctrine. And it means, yes, the electromagnetic spectrum, but it means more than that. It means the full spectrum of society, every level. They're interested in. The CIA's been involved in running writers and song writers and all the entertainment business and the drug business and the child trafficking business for decades. And, we're just the farm, and they're milking us. That's how I see them. I'm very clear on that. And my job is, no, I'm not here to save the world. No, we got ourselves into this by decades of being very flaccid and self-serving. And I was, meanwhile, ranting like a little cartoon character. And here we are, folks. Here we are. I think we deserve it all because we've been asleep at the wheel. We didn't understand that having a republic means you're taking care of keeping watch, because there are people who hate freedom and they hate human beings. So to me, I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for 50 years. But am I a happy camper about how everything's just falling apart and we're actually seeing globalists who are proud of what they're doing and making no apologies. Have you noticed that, Frank?
Oh yeah, no, it's very blatant and it's very proud. It's very proud.
They know we're not going to do anything. And even if we do something, It'll just be some target practice for them.
You know, we have 5 minutes left, and we thank God we did what we did. I think we're jam packed. I guess with the last 5 minutes, I would ask you, because we're talking about everything here, and this is a little bit more relevant. And since geoengineering has been a big part of tonight's show, another subject you've written about extensively, of course, geoengineering. It's everything. But what are your thoughts just observing this extreme, persistent Arctic weather that has not only paralyzed the deep south in the United States, but they're even seeing snow for the first time in 50 years in places like Saudi Arabia?
Oh, Frank, that's all geoengineered. It's all geoengineered. They're making mincemeat out of this planet. That's why I have one site which is completely about under an ionized sky, and it's private, and you have to become a member and stuff. But I've got it all documented thanks to the work of some of the guys in the movement who are collecting data on what's going on around the world. No, these globalists, and the other word I use for them is deep state, they are busy as bees, making sure that all of these little nations realize you are not going to make any other alliances. You are going to serve the West, and we're going to make sure of it, or we're going to destroy your country and rebuild it the way we want it. And that's going on. And poor old Texas, because it has a few patriots in it, a few Republicans, I don't think of Republicans as being necessarily patriots. I think of patriots as being like, shoot, I really want a republic.
Yeah.
I don't want a communist nation. Thank you very much. Anyway, they're being hit with both barrels down there, and I feel the pain. And I kind of knew it was inevitable. If you try to stand up to these, that's why I was for Trump, because he was against these guys. And so I still say this fat lady hasn't sung. I'm holding out my last little shred of faith here.
Yeah.
And I really feel that Texas has been blasted. I heard from someone last night that Del Bigtree now wants to know about weather engineering because he thinks it was weather warfare as well. And it was. And it wasn't Russia, and it wasn't China. It was our own homegrown deep state, because they're the ones with their finger on the button. I've been watching it carefully for 10 years, waiting to see if anybody is going to get those guys off of that button. And so far, it hasn't happened.
Well, Elana, I would say that in keeping, I don't know if you know of the work of Jim Lee over at Climate Viewer.
Oh, yeah, I know Jim well.
Oh, Jim's a good friend of mine as well, and he was just on the show on I think Tuesday night or Wednesday night in the last 20 minutes, just to put a really quick nutshell on what the hell's going on, what led us to this out down south. I can send you a link with a timestamp. You should definitely listen to the summation he put together. I think is really wonderful. But as far as tonight goes, Elana, this has been, as always, a wonderful time to speak with you. I can't wait to have you back again. Since we're out of time, but we hit all of our marks, so I'm such a happy camper. Let everybody know where they can go to read your work and when your new book is set to come out.
Right. So everything's on Amazon. The two chemtrails books, which are actually geoengineering books. And I have a site called ElanaFreeland.com that my wonderful web mistress keeps up because I never have time to go and comment that much on my own. And otherwise, my new book, which is one chapter away from being finished, will be out by April, and I'm publishing it. I left my publisher because I just wasn't making enough money, and I'm doing this one myself. And it's like huge. I just can't believe how much work this has been. 2 years of really constant work. and it's going to be worth it, and much easier to read than my other ones because I'm dealing less with that type of space engineering. I'm dealing in this book with more biological engineering and things that are maybe a little easier to read, but still a lot of footnotes.
Well, it's going to be great. I can't wait until it comes out. And when it does, please let me know so I don't miss it and so I can let everybody know where to go get it. Elana Freeland, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I will speak with you after the show for sure.
Okay. Bye.
Have a good one. Thank you so much.